the group of neocon war hawks that have gained power, and they've been in power for some time. So even in Bush 1, some of those, I don't know their names. I think Wolfowitz might have been one, but Ray McGovern called them the crazies. And they were in the national security apparatus, and they rise up to be to these levels. And I'm trying to think. Kagan, I don't think Kagan and Newland, that would have been before their time, but there were people like this, and they were pushing for war then. By the time you get to the early 90s, they write the project for the new American century, one of whom signs it as Cheney. And they say right in there, if we get, well, we're hoping we get our new Pearl Harbor, then we can that will give us the impetus to start this series of wars in the Mideast. And a lot of people even in Congress, like a John McCain, was well aware of this agenda. I don't think he signed it, but he's well aware that when this happens, now we can go full boat with our propaganda because the country will be traumatized. Naomi Klein wrote the book Shock Doctrine, and that's true. When you're scared, and you feel, someone's going to protect you, you're more able to swallow whatever your leader tells you. And so they know that when we had the attacks after 9/11, and in fact, there's pictures of them, even with the Saudi Arabia ambassador sitting on the veranda right after 9/11. It's like they're planning, okay, now we can go to war with Iraq, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya. These countries that were posing challenges, and especially oil-rich countries in the Mideast, and they thought they could do it in 5 years. That was the ridiculous thing. This shows how much hubris they have, and ridiculous arrogance to think they could. And the last one of these 6 or 7 was Iran. And so that was in the plans from the early 90s.
And I was going to say that I think the target actually was, in the end, it was Iran.
Yeah. Yep, they thought they'd have to do this, Syria was an ally of Iran, so leading up, they take out these other ones easy. Of course, it didn't work because even in Iraq and Afghanistan, they got bogged down right away after 20 years. So people like John McCain then began to say, well, we'll be in perpetual war. Back in 2007 and 8, when we had the Republican National Convention here, he was quoted as saying, well, we think war will go on for the next 100 years. John McCain actually said that. It's kind of a dumb thing to say because the people all over the world don't want to be in a 100-year war, even in the United States. But he stupidly said that. So when we had the RNC, I painted all the banners, not another 100 years, thinking people will recognize. But actually, that has happened. For 24 years, it's been perpetual war. And this voting recently of the 61 billion for Ukraine, it's actually admitted. People have been quoted as saying that's in order future-proof the war. So if a new president would come in having promised to end the war in Ukraine, that 61 billion will keep it going. And so that just happened. It's incredible. Even after Johnson, the head of the majority, said that he wasn't going to bring it for a vote, he changed his mind. Then he got Trump to change his mind, and they just voted 61 billion more for Ukraine, which keeps it going, perpetual war. I will say the one thing about this establishment, it's not a secret conspiracy society. It's people like Blinken and Sullivan, the national security advisors, which Brzezinski was, national security advisors, the Kissingers out there. They come up with these plans. Usually it's plan A, plan B, plan C. So plan A falters, they go right to plan B. And it's all, it's about maintaining control. One of the things that you mentioned about the economic power changing. So that's been the big change, is that, and I just mentioned it too, that control of the world's resources has dropped. And that scares a lot of these Kissinger types in there that are trying to keep this power. So they could use economic sanctions, for instance, which is considered soft power. A lot of the things that the United States was able for a period of time to use as their power is called soft power. First of all, it can just be diplomacy. Put diplomacy in quotes, because diplomacy often includes blackmail of foreign officials, surveilling and spying on those foreign officials in order to get the dirt and blackmail, bribing foreign officials. That all goes under diplomacy. That's not especially ethical or moral. We always say diplomacy instead of war. Yes, but you know what has gone into that? There's also I'm trying to think of some of the other things that we talk about. Well, economic sanctions, and economic sanctions can hurt and even kill the people of the country. So when you put on economic sanctions, Venezuela, I mean, I don't even know how many countries we have sanctions on now.
Over 25% of the world's population.
Over 25%.
Is now
And it's not, the thing is, it's not working. And the reason it's not working is because even our own financial system has been weakened by this. It's all a part of the blowback and the counterproductiveness that we've lost our soft power. And certainly we've lost our moral authority. I mean, actually, the one part of soft power that I would say is legitimate is moral authority. So if you have leadership because you're a great, you do everything right, you've never tortured. Well, as soon as we started down this road of saying, well, we can secretly do these illegal things, we lost our moral authority. So all of this soft power got sacrificed. And now what do we got left? Hard military force. And that's why we're in this predicament, basically looking almost at the last level of military force, which is the use of nuclear bombs. And they talk about this. There are plans written up. We'll start with the tactical nukes, which are the smaller, nicer ones. They'll claim that they can be more targeted, but they're nuclear bombs. And I don't think that they can contain a nuclear war to just using the smaller, nicer tactical nukes. But that's actually written up in Pentagon plans right now, that they would use tactical nukes. And people said, oh, wow, how come we always had that notion of mutually assured deterrence, that if we used a nuke, that would be the end. And therefore, we kept each other from using it because we knew that this would be the end of the world if one party used a nuclear weapon. That's mutually assured deterrence has gone up in smoke. Even that has gone up in smoke now. Just, I think, because of this desperation and the fact that they sacrificed all other forms of soft power.
That's very scary. I mean, to think that they could start using those small nuclear weapons is terrifying.
It's a way to open the door. I mean, they always say the camel's nose under the tent or something, because once you say there's no more prohibition, then I don't think it, and again, I don't think it will be contained or limited. And we've set red lines. Every one of these wars, Biden has set so many red lines in Ukraine. First, Obama, we'll never arm Ukraine. And then we'll never send tanks. We'll never, on and on. Every single one has been broken.